victory was ascribed to the king, but few knew that it was Ewakwe who helped the king with such profound wisdom. Despite the great financial and material support that Ewakwe received from the king, his poverty seemed to not abate. Ewakwe's home was never empty of gifts. People who needed help from the king would come to pay him homage. In times of land dispute, it was the great Ewakwe people leaned on to put in a word or two on their behalf. And there appeared to be a hand waving off the blessings on Ewakwe. He could hardly take care of his moderate family. He was in constant need of money and food. His impecunious condition became an embarrassment to the king. That was why the king summoned him to the palace that evening. The subject of discussion between Ewakwe and the king that evening began thus. Our people say, if there is no staggering after drinking the palm wine, it is as if the wine tapper did not do a good job. Ewakwe nodded in agreement. Ewakwe, my friend, when a person outgrows drinking coconut water, he should be able to go over to palm wine. So also, my friend, a baby can only be considered a dwarf when it is still in its mother's womb. The king was still straining himself to spill what he had nursed concerning Ewakwe. What is happening to you, my brother? Why is it that all this money and gifts showered on you had made mockery of my efforts? The friend of the king should not struggle to feed his family. That is why I have called you today to find a solution. We need to call the oracle priest to find out what is responsible for your predicament. The king finally blurted it out. He felt relieved of the bother. What friend would turn blind eyes to the suffering of his dear friend? King Ewasinha was not such a person. Ewakwe thanked the king for his concern. My king and friend, I thank you for your concern. I don't know why things have remained difficult with me, despite all your efforts. There is no person who is inflicted by acute sickness who still remains the same. I have suffered misery upon misery. Little wonder our people say, a slaughtered animal is no longer afraid of any kitchen knife. The next day, the king instructed two of his most trusted chiefs to accompany Ewakwe to the oracle priest in Ewekwe village. They walked through the bushes till they got to the house of the priest. The priest divined that certain forces were against the progress and prosperity of Ewakwe. When the oracle priest pressed to know why, the powers that be would not grant him access to such dark information. However, the priest had recommended several things to be done. When the farm is threatened by a greater indebtedness, it is better to place the ban to redeem it. My son, this is what we must do. You shall return here by next market day. You shall come with the following animals: 1 he-goat, 1 ram, 1 fowl, 1 tortoise, 1 antelope, 1 squirrel, and 1 grasscutter. These 7 animals will be slaughtered and their blood will be mixed into a pool. You will bathe with it after 7 days, and after 7 days you shall wash off the blood from your body at the Ibioa stream. As elders say, after a sacrifice, and there is no vulture seen, then some strange thing must have happened in the land of the spirits. The chief that led the delegation assured the priest that they would get back to the king and they would come with all the items. they later agreed to offer the priest the money to gather the sacrificial items required. On that fateful market day, the oracle priest performed the ritual cleansing of Evakoe. According to the priest, Evakoe was being afflicted with the pain of poverty. Not until the smear of impoverishment was spiritually washed off him, Evakoe would remain eternally poor. Early that day, the priest had slaughtered the 7 animals and their blood drained in a bucket. He stirred them together into a perfect mix. Evakoe took off his clothes, and the priest washed his head, chanting several incantations and calling blessings on him. After the spiritual bath, he was asked to stay under the scorching sun to dry the blood on his body. Evakoe was completely dry after the cleansing. Those 7 days were the longest he ever experienced. He was haunted by very strange flashes into the dim past of his former life. He had seen himself in the mirror of life and discovered that in his former life he was a king. He was rich and famous, but his reign was remarkable for the pain and groaning that were afflicted on the people. They cursed him that when he came back to life he would be poor for him to experience the pain the people suffered. After each flash of remembrance, he would weep bitterly. On the first night, he delved into his past life and saw how he ordered the killing of an orphan. He saw the frightening eyes of the orphan, who implored him to spare his life. What was the offense of the poor orphan? He could not afford 2 cowries as levy to buy a cow for the king's birthday celebration. Evakoe ordered that the orphan should be beheaded. He said, "No poor orphan will be tolerated in this land who would not pay a little levy to honor the king. It is better that the orphan dies than to refuse to pay. This is my word and I have spoken." Even when many words of reason were offered, Evakoe ignored them. As the orphan was about to be beheaded, he spoke loud. "My king, I did not make myself poor. Nevertheless, I forgive you. In my next life, I will be a king and find you to pay back and teach you a lesson." Evakoe watched with disdain the killing of the orphan. The second night was equally as terrible as the first. Evakoe found himself on the throne, in which a case was brought before him for adjudication. He had perverted judgment because it involved a rich man who had wanted to take possession of a certain poor man's plot of land. Ekwase, the poor man, had appealed to the king for justice. "My king, everybody knows that I inherited this land from my late father. I even built on this land. To my surprise, Ehato demolished my building and began to erect his mansion on that same land. My king, please help me and restore my land back to me." Ekwase had appealed to him. Earlier on, the poor Ekwase's love interest, Itoan, the village's most pretty young lady, had gone to appeal to the king to help secure a favorable judgment. The king instead demanded Itoan's hand in marriage to be his third wife. To save Ekwase's inherited property, Itoan agreed, although with great pain in her heart. Despite Itoan's sacrifice, the king had a secret bargain with Ehato, who gave him a huge sum of money. In the end, The king awarded the custody of the land to Echato, the rich man, and warned Ekwase never to lay claim to that land. That was how Ekwase lost his love to the king and his land to Echato. Unable to bear the double tragedy, Ekwase wandered out of the land into the forest, where he died, leaving behind a curse on Evakoe and his generation. These dreadful flashes continued till the 7th day, when they took him to the Ibiwa stream. Throughout these 7 nights of flashes into his past life, Evakoe kept everything to himself. The oracle priest, the 2 chiefs sent by King Ewasiha, proceeded to the stream of Ibiwa, in the heart of the forest. According to the priest, the last part of the cleansing was to be completed with a bath in the stream of fortune, Ibiwa. The stream was clean and full to the brim. Looking at it, one could see one's reflection. It was a neat and unpolluted stream because of its distance from the surrounding villages. A walk to the stream lasted nothing less than 5 hours. It was a long journey. The moment they got there, the priest began to communicate with the stream to accept the offerings they had brought and to restore prosperity to Evakoe. After the priest had completed the ritual incantation and offering, Evakoe was asked to enter the stream. As he walked towards the stream, in a flash, before their very eyes, the stream dried up immediately. The priest was shocked. They could not leave because that was the only stage left in the process. They waited, but in vain. Tired